Go flat tracker, go flat tracker, go, go, go. The Kelpie Flat Track Pod, brought to you by our partners, shreddesign.co for the sickest jersey prints in the biz, Euroka Fencing for all your rural farming fencing needs, classic wheels, spokes and Otway hydroblasting, making your old girl look new again, and of course Kelpie, keeping you on track for longer. Now let's get into the episode. There we go. So, welcome to another Kelpie Flat Track Pod. On the line with me at the moment, all the way over in America, we have the flat. I told you my mind was running a bit slow, Eric. We have Erik Hartley, co-host on Tank Slapping Podcast. Welcome, mate.
Yeah, hey, how's it going? It's always good to get on the telly and talk some footy. I mean, some flat track for sure, for sure.
So you were telling actually, we've sort of been communicating a little bit on Messenger, and after we did that pod with Corey, you reached out, which was awesome. And yeah, thanks again for shouting us out. Tom shouted you out a couple of times. Yeah, much appreciated for letting flat track fans over there know about what we're getting up to over here. But yeah, we were talking about oh shit, I've lost my train of thought already. I've forgotten what we were talking about. What were we talking about, Eric? Any idea?
Yeah, no, we've kind of communicated over the messenger and whatnot, and kind of I picked up on your accent that you are a Kiwi at heart, and I connected with that. I lived overseas in New Zealand. I played 3 seasons of rugby up Wellington and Methven down in the Christchurch area, and up in
right.
Marlborough Sounds area in Blenheim. So I'm definitely a league and union fan. I always played it over here growing up, so been given quite a bit of banter about that. So yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Thanks for leading me back onto the right path. What were you doing in New Zealand?
Wasting time and money. No,
God, you can do
after
that
I
easily,
got
do you?
yeah. Now, after I got out of the service, I went back to uni and was playing rugby, and got offered an opportunity to go play rugby over in New Zealand, and jumped at it. So I was on a working holiday visa, and then also going to grad school, get my master's degree. So I would balance a season over there, come back, finish, do some schoolwork, and then just do the whole thing over again. So it was a fun time. I played rugby for a number of years, but I'm 37 now, and I can't run with them anymore. So as soon as I got slow, my skill set was gone.
So you went to motorcycles, is that right?
Yeah, no, I've always been a motorcycle enthusiast. I actually grew up racing quarter midgets and all of that good stuff, and then
No, yeah.
was just into motorcycles as a fan, and then got into motorcycle racing a number of years ago, and yeah, one adrenaline to the other, both causing harm to your body. But yeah, no, it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah, potentially causing harm. We try to avoid that if we can, but yeah, they do. And did you do follow any speedway or get into any of the bikes stuff in New Zealand, or as part of your contract it was just rugby and
Yeah,
rugby
no,
only?
just rugby and the pub. My beer of choice was Spates.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I drank more than that than I probably should have, but it was a good time. But I've still got a lot of friends. Still chat. Honestly, our so kind of jumping ahead of it, but Evil Hours Racing, the nonprofit that I run, our brand manager, Haley Ottman, she's in New Zealand. She's a Kiwi. I
Okay.
met her when I was living over there, and she's done all of our branding, all the skulls and everything that we do. It's come through her Tiza Design websites, all that stuff. So that influence has remained true throughout, all of this for sure.
Yeah, okay. So should we go right back to the beginning of our how Evil Hour racing started? Like, was that when you came
Yeah.
out of the military or out of the service and had some bad
Yeah.
times,
So
or
yeah, no. So I was in the military. Did 6 years. Got a couple little trips here and there all over the world. One good free trip to the Sandbox. And after I got out, I was definitely three sheets to the wind, just kind of, masking a lot of things with traveling all over the world playing rugby. On top of New Zealand, I've played in England, I've played in Norway, all over, America, and struggled with, what I came to find out later was post-traumatic stress. And on a whim, kind of in the darkest times, my mother invited me to a flat track race. And I to this day, I remember going to the race. And it was the first time that I felt at home back in America since I returned from Afghanistan. And that would have been 8 years, almost a decade of just being in a funk. And like it was an American flat track race, but it was partnered with an amateur race. So Steve Nace Racing does amateur races the weekend of the Springfield Mile. And we went to the singles race, which was, at the time, was on Friday nights. They would do it at the Bull Ring next to the Springfield Mile. And in conjunction with that pro race, you've got amateur races, and you've got kids, 4-year-olds on 50cc motorcycles all the way up to the pros. Like, I remember looking down from the grandstand and seeing that, and I'm just blown away with the camaraderie. And that following week, I went out and bought a Mad Dog bike, a little Kawasaki 140. And got into this to the sport, and something that I was just missing for years, just came back. And that excitement and that sense of, danger, but fun, the camaraderie, all that is just really in tune with what, being in the military and deploying is all about. And I just thought, man, I really want to pay it forward and help others, maybe, not do the bad things that I did for the better part of a decade. So I started a nonprofit, and Evil Hours Racing, and the name comes from an experience that I had over in Afghanistan, where the Taliban, to back up, kite flying is very big. It's a national sport in Afghanistan. Well, when the Taliban took power, they outlawed that. And then we came in, kicked them out. And so you'd start seeing kites flying all around. And come to find out, the Taliban were flying kites around our bases to basically, get coordinates for the rockets and mortars and stuff up in the hills surrounding us. And so I noticed a trend when I was over there. The kites would go up. Sure as shit, you could count on it. Later, at some point, you knew an attack was coming. And so, sick sense of humor, called it the evil hours, the time in between. You knew it was coming. So that's where the Evil Hours name comes from. But it's kind of also, war, that those are the evil hours. So that's where the name comes from. And what Evil Hours Racing does is helps veterans with post-traumatic stress get into the sport of flat track. We do it through a number of different initiatives. We will send veterans to slide schools. We will also send them to American flat track races and partner them with the pro teams. If someone likes Kawasaki or KTM or Honda, Yamaha, Indian, Harley, you go down the list. We've got, connections that we can send these veterans to their favorite manufacturer. They are part of the team. They learn how to wrench on the bikes. They're down in the pits. They experience the thrill of flat track up close and personal. And then third, we also have agreements with Pro-Am series around the country, where if a veteran is with us, they get to race for free. So an example of that is Extreme Flat Track. They're in a Pro-Am series, and all of our veterans can race with them for free. And I try and do everything kind of, to the fullest extent. It's not just a free weekend, skiing up in the mountain. I wanted to do something that can completely change someone's life, give them a purpose, and give them a meaning to get up in the morning. So that's in a nutshell what Evil Hours Racing is all about.
Yeah, it's massive. And I did have a look at the Facebook page and there's some cool stuff on there, and you highly recommend people to check it out. What sort of response have you had from retired servicemen? Do you get active servicemen involved as well?
Yeah, no, we get them all. We get definitely, predominantly veterans, but the other thing too with PTSD, is the stigma is slowly getting away for folks that are still in the service. They can raise their hand and say, "Hey, man, that deployment sucked. I'm in a funk," and they're not automatically ostracized or kicked out of the service. So no, we do have better people that are still in the service, active guard, national reserves, all that, with us. But yeah, no, predominantly veterans, and specifically veterans to the last 20 years of being overseas, Iraq and Afghanistan. Yep.
Yeah, and do you find that they've all had an interest in motorcycles, or some of them hear about your program through the grapevine and sort of just check it out and then fall in love with flat track racing? What's the sort of pattern? Is there one scenario more common than the other, or?
Yeah, no, definitely the common theme. It's funny, is it, Harley Davidson's not really in the sport at the moment, but almost all of them would come from being a Harley Davidson just motorcycle enthusiast.
Yeah.
Um, and then knowing of flat track, and then hearing of us, and then we do a lot of outreach as well, as going to bike nights at dealerships, and you know conventions, and things like that, just getting her name out there. But no, for sure, it's definitely the Harley crowd. You got a veteran on a Harley, and then they hear it through the grapevine of a friend, or see us at a race or something. But no, I mean, to a certain extent as well, my own personal racing is kind of branding and marketing organically. It is, in essence, it is my story. And so when I go out there and I'm racing, people are like, I like to think, at least, people are like, oh, hey, that's a cool branding, like the skulls and everything, what's going on with that, and then they kind of are drawn into it by the bike and the all of that, and then I kind of explain to them what Evil Hours Racing is.
Yeah, and it sounds like a really good thing. And I was going to call it a distraction, but hopefully it's a cure more than a distraction for people that are suffering from um,
Yeah.
this sort of trauma. I mean, I'm very lucky. I've never had to deal with that other sort of life things, but nothing to do
Yeah,
with
well,
war or anything like that. But
the way that I explain it is, when you're on a motorcycle, and I think everybody can relate to this, when you're going around in a circle doing something inherently dangerous, you have to be focused on that task at hand. Everything else gets thrown out the window. Your mortgage is about to bounce because you haven't paid it, because you got to pay for this race. Your car payment's due. Something's broke in the house. Your missus, whatever, is mad because you're at the racetrack. All of that goes out the window, and you're focused on the task at hand. And that is the element of motorcycle racing that connects, because all of that noise, I didn't sleep very much last night. I watched some movie and it brought me back to where I was. I can't keep a job. The missus just left, took the kids with her. Like, all of that, the ancillary stuff that comes with having PTSD is chucked out the window when you're on a motorcycle doing something exhilarating and focused. So it's like a brief, like, pause to all the static, and you're just free. So that's why I'll stand on my soapbox till the day I die, is to go get on a motorcycle and go in a circle as fast as you can.
yeah, I think it actually ties just to being on a motorcycle full stop, actually, because
Yep.
I've always had some sort of learning disability. I'm a 70s child, so it wasn't really talked about or diagnosed when I was a
Yep.
kid. But I always find just what you said then, that that's about the only time that I can focus directly on one thing and staying alive. The rest of the time, my mind's in 150 million places at once. so
Absolutely.
so yeah, and it's always been a way. I started on we're at the Christmas party, our club Christmas party the other week, in the weekend, sorry. And I was saying I started on an RD50, Yamaha RD50, and that was the best part of the day, was riding to school. And as you might know, you can get your license at 15 in New Zealand. So yeah, I'd ride to school and riding home, and they were the two best parts of my day. And I was,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'd never really put that connection to why it really was, but yeah, I don't know, you feel free,
Yep.
free, focused, and yeah, just awesome on a motorcycle. So yeah, I back your statement. Get on one, whether it's going in circles or just out on the road or whatever. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, I think too, the pits or paddock, whatever you want to refer to it as, that, the old joke with like flat track is we'd rather get you out on the track so we could beat you out there than beat you just because you didn't line up, right? And so that camaraderie was huge, and that's also huge for folks that are missing being in the military, right? Like
Yeah.
we support each other, and there's that like community aspect to it, and I just it's grassroots and blue collar enough and fun and exhilarating and easy to get into. There's just so many elements to flat track racing that align with someone suffering from post traumatic stress. So, and then to the folks listening to this podcast, if you're over across the pond, hell, go to a flat track, go to a club, go to Kelpie's races, whatever you got to do, just get out and experience flat track and see if it doesn't help, bring you home. And we, one of our kind of like hashtags, if you will, is win the last mile, or win the last mile home.
Yeah.
See if that coming to the race doesn't help you on your journey of finally coming home.
I actually think it does for a lot of people. Yeah, we have members that they just, for all those reasons you just mentioned, they just get hooked. And actually, again at the Christmas party, I heard over a dozen times the saying, this is my home. And it's fantastic that that place exists for people to come to and feel comfortable and express themselves. And the other thing that happens with me with racing is I set myself goals and challenges, and you tick them off, and that just boosts your confidence, makes you have a sense of belonging, and just makes you feel good, doesn't it? So
Yeah,
it's an
absolutely.
awesome sport, and hence why I started this podcast, obviously because of my business as well. But it was really just to show the flat track family how big we really are, because we had a lot of comments around the Australian paddock, or pits, as you say. We call it pits, you guys call it paddock. But yeah, it was, the population's not big enough. Well, when you start tying us all together, we might not all be in the same country, but the flat track population is actually bloody huge. So,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
and I think it's just getting bigger and bigger. The more pods we're doing, the more people we're getting reaching out, and it's fantastic.
I think too, obviously it had its ebb and flow. But from what I've kind of gathered since I've gotten into the sport, it's definitely on an uptick. There's a lot of marketability in the sport and a lot of great racing. Yeah, so it's definitely, yep, for sure. It's on the way up for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, I think what do you prefer going to? Because you've been to both, professional or amateur, or is it the same vibe?
Oh, that is a very good question.
Mm,
I would say that I prefer, and it's not a knock on, the professional racing. I
yep,
prefer the grassroots. One of my favorite experiences I've ever had within the sport of flat track is going to amateur nationals this past summer. Well, winter for you guys, but in
yep,
June, um, we had amateur nationals, 50 cc's all the way up to the hell, 60 plus, right?
yep.
Racing. And it was a week of racing, capstone by the DeCoin Mile. But just to see riders from all over the country and world, there were a number of riders from Australia that came over. And I think I enjoy the grassroots. And maybe I'm biased because my son is starting to come up through the racing ranks, but I enjoy going to the local track and seeing the folks that you saw last weekend, and the racing is it's all pretty on par, and yeah, for sure, grassroots.
Does it blend a little bit? Like, say, your pro race families sort of might have some up and comings coming up through the amateurs as well, like younger siblings and that sort of thing. Do you get a blend of the two, or
Oh
is it?
yeah, you definitely do, especially out where I'm at. I don't. You might have heard of him, you might not. He's kind of average, but Cody Kopp is from out here in Spokane. He actually lives like probably 10, 12 minutes from my house. But you see him and his dad out here, out at the local races among, other pros that show up: Tanner Dean, Shelby Miller, Michael Hill, Olin Kistler. There's Davis Fisher. I could go on and on with a number of racers that kind of pop up here in the Northwest. You do see them at amateur races, and that leads me to my point that like why I love amateur racing so much is because when those folks show up to the amateur races, speaking about my son, but like their eyes bulge out of their head and they are just starstruck, and it's just so
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
to see that. And I mean, my son is very outgoing, but when Cody is at a race, the kid shuts up. You think he doesn't know how to speak English. It's just he just eats it up. But he loves to sit on the stands and watch the pro class when they run. And it's cool to see the local pros battle it out against the AFT pros. And honestly, the local pros kind of have the leg up, right? Because that's their track, they know it, and then it's a good battle. And I liken it probably to like kind of how when Tom and Max came back to Australia just recently and started racing some races. And I'm sure that it was really cool for the folks to, see their TV heroes show up to the track and race alongside of them.
Yeah, certainly. Actually, yeah, Gunnedah, you could see that within kids and other riders, really looking up to those two for what they've done in America and well, actually three, because what we focus on the seniors quite heavily here, but yeah, young Sam Drain's doing very well over there in the States and well and as well, and he
Yeah.
really showed it on
Yeah.
track. He really showed it on track when he was at Gunnedah. I'm not sure if he raced North Brisbane Cup last weekend. I know Max and Tom did, and yeah, Tom took that one out. But yeah, and it's awesome that those athletes, Jack Miller also, slightly different sport, but comes back and does his grassroots racing, and yeah, the kids eat it up. Oh, everyone eats it up. It's fantastic, fantastic for the sport in general. And yeah, I sort of asked that question before because we get a lot of well, I especially have when I've talked about having a professional rank here in Australia, and a lot of people saying it can't happen, it will ruin the sport. So yeah, that's sort of why I was asking to hear what you thought.
I think it's a
What
great
you
way. It's a feeder program, like
yeah.
with how our racing is structured with AMA doing all of the amateur stuff, and then AFT kind of takes it from there. And then hell, it gets really confusing about how AFT was sold off to another entity, so they kind of run it, but they have affiliation with AMA. I won't confuse people, but you can go and Google how that shit works. But no, it gives everybody something to come up through the ranks for, and eyes on the prize, right? So I think the two work in tandem. Will work in tandem.
Yeah, I really hope that we do go more solidly that way. The Australian titles are good, but it's quite a funny format compared to the sort of going pro and then when you're in the pro rank, points accumulating and all that sort of thing across rounds. As we're here, basically anyone can rock up on and enter for the day and go for a championship. It's a bit of a funny one for the big
So
wheels on the front.
is it club based? Is that predominantly how it is? Like ABC Motorcycle Club and then XYZ Motorcycle Club, and you guys have your own kind of season long races?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of the clubs will host Australian title meet. So they actually split it up. They call it track and then dirt track. So we'll have
Okay.
yeah, track is sort of like long track, which our long tracks aren't long compared to yours, but around 800 meters. And they can be shorter, I think, which would be well, that's a half mile. So I think they can be close to a quarter mile as well. Some of them. But
Yeah.
yeah, no right hander. And then our dirt track has actually got a right hander, but
Okay.
doesn't tend to have a jump in it. So the AFTN, which is the Aussie Flat Track Nationals, which just finished its first full season, has the first day on an oval and the second day on the TT with a jump in it, which you
Oh,
would have
okay.
seen. But a lot of our
Do you think
TTs
that?
don't have. Sorry, go
Well,
ahead.
do you think that? Because I was kind of doing my research, and the reason why I'd asked about the club structure is I wonder if that is why everyone in Australia is kind of fine with that, is because it's just how it seems very ingrained in your culture. Like I mean, like every sport has a club, right? You've got your rugby club, you've got your league club, and netball. I mean, like hockey, like there's a club for every sport. In America, we don't really have that. We
Oh,
play
okay.
sports through our school, and you either go pro or you play in a Thursday night beer league, right? So
Oh,
um,
okay, right.
so that's why I'm kind of like, all right, well, the club is just so ingrained in your culture that I wonder if it's just kind of like, well, that's what we do. Where like for us, we don't have that, right? We do have motorcycle clubs. Don't get me wrong, that will put on races out on their tracks. But when I'm speaking like stick and ball sports, we that isn't really ingrained in what we do. So I think just inherently, it's just two ways to look at, the same pie. But that's, yeah, I just wondered if that might have been it.
There's actually nothing wrong with the club structure at all, and it definitely serves a purpose, and
Yeah.
it is a good thing. But our setup being 21-18, that's why it's been so hard to cross over to the 19s, because most other
Yeah.
countries,
Yeah.
they didn't have the sport existing, and they
Hmm.
could just fire up on 19s and off they go. Um, so what looks like is going to happen is we'll have separate entities. Dirt track will stay dirt track and be ran by clubs, and we'll have the Australian titles like it normally does, and then we'll
Uh-huh.
have the Aussie flat track nationals running on the side there. And if you want to have the two setups, you can run them on club days too. They don't, um,
Okay.
they don't not entertain that. And even a lot of the clubs are even having a 19 only class as well now. So they've put on an extra class for them so people
Are
can
the
get more seat time.
classes okay? Yeah, I see that. Well, so are the classes still done predominantly by bike size, or do you? Because again, going back to the club format, I mean, in every my exposure, it's like, oh, U12 or U19s, or I didn't know if you guys, how do you guys structure your classes?
Yeah, so there is many. I should have had. I've got a program somewhere there because I can't remember them all off heart. But
I'll tell you.
we'll have like a 65, and it will be like six to 13, and then
Okay.
oh no, I'm actually probably got that wrong. 6 to 9, and then
Yeah.
9 to 13, and then you're
Yeah.
same
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the 85s, and then 150s,
Okay.
and then you got junior 250s will be 13 to 16, and then you can go senior from 16 years old, and
Hmm.
then the seniors have, depending on the club too, that can change depending on part of the country, which it gets a bit confusing, but usually there'll be a 450 class, a pro open class, the senior 250, a woman's, and
Uh,
one or two vet classes. And
the most
usually the vet classes, the woman classes, and the pro open, you can pretty much ride anything.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting because if either you run an AMA district out here or you run what we call outlaw, and that's just someone whose racetrack isn't sanctioned by AMA, but everybody will still adhere to kind of the same rules.
Yeah.
So it's very fascinating to hear that. I mean, obviously to a certain degree, there are exceptions. Like if there's some young gun coming up that you know is killing it, they're going to let the younger rider run up in the pro class at an outlaw race. I mean, Chase Reimers, I brought him up before on Tankside podcast. He's making a name for himself out here. He's only 13 years old, but the kid is fast, and they let him run in the pro class on his 250, and kid does good. So I don't know. Do you
So
guys ever do any questions like that?
no. So
Okay.
if they're not 16 or over, it's something to do with their birth date. I can't tell you exactly. Um,
Yeah.
they're not allowed on the track with the seniors. So on a
Yeah.
practice day, depending on who's running it, coaching day, they might let a father and son go out,
Mm.
that sort of thing. But definitely not on a race day. So no juniors race with seniors.
All right, so hear me out. What if an American comes over and races? How do I say let me run in this class? How would I put my credentials forward if I were to talk my wife into letting me come over and race on a holiday once?
You just enter, dude. You
Oh,
just
okay.
enter straight, and there's no qualifying or ranking system. So, and that's
Mm.
why I think a pro class with something like that would be a nice change because, yeah, it can make racing pretty interesting sometimes. I mean, you expect the level in the Pro 450 class to be pretty high, so
Well, I race in the
it's
hooligan
usually where most
class,
of
and
our competitive races will be.
do you guys have a hooligan class in Australia?
Um, Sometimes, so it's event dependent. Um, it'll
Okay.
just depend on if the organisers or the club have put that on. We do. So I'm in Victoria and in the sort of eastern
Yep.
side, and there's a club about 4 hours away, and they do a night series under lights. which is coming
Yeah,
back next year in 2024, and they had a twins class, which would basically be a hooligans class. Yeah, our twins aren't
nice.
quite like the American twins, so
Run what you
I'm
brung.
actually, yeah, that's right. I'm actually building one up at the minute, which I'm pretty excited. So,
Is it
yeah,
a Harley?
looking forward to it. It is a Harley. Yeah, yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's a XG 750.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Race a few of
So,
those. Yeah, no, the hooligan class kind of it's got this mixed bag, where there's a lot of former pros all the way down to novice bikes, and they definitely filter each other out. But during the heat races and qualifying and stuff for the series that I run, it could be definitely hairy. A lot of times going high, wide, and handsome just to get around maybe a more inexperienced rider.
someone
But
hugging the inside.
oh yeah, pole putting. Yep. So no, it's a lot of fun, and that's one of the other things that kind of drew me into flat track anyway. It's just is I went from a mad dog to a hooligan, and it's just because what was in my garage. It was my daily driver, and I
Right.
built that bike. So I'm one of the few that actually don't ride a Harley. I race a Triumph Bonneville Thruxton.
Okay.
So yeah, no, it's stock in name only. The chassis with our rules, the
Yeah.
chassis has to remain stock, and then there are limitations on your swing arm. But then again, there's a loophole with a Triumph, just because of a manufacturer that came out with like 2 years for a race production swing arm. So there's one victory for the Triumph. I was able to sneak that in, and wheelbase and weight and stuff. But it's yeah, 95% Harleys. Your 883s, your XG 750s, 1200s. Hell, this past weekend in Florida, an Aprilia showed up.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was yeah, it was insane seeing that. It was really cool seeing that. But yeah, you'll see a lot of Yamaha MT-07s and Indian 1200s. There's Royal Enfield bikes showing up.
Yeah.
There's some Kawasaki's every once in a while, but no, it's a pretty cool class for sure.
Yeah, so with the AFTN, they have a twins class. It only ran one round this year, and hopefully next year, I think it's going to be the same, but hopefully that will be expanded. But yeah, there's a few. It's a mixed bag. There's a Yamaha Bolt in there. There's all sorts Harleys, Triumphs,
Hell yeah.
a CF Moto. What are they? CX 750 or something? I think they are.
Yep. So
Yeah, so
so
there's
I think that's Darcy. I think that's what we're gonna do. I think next year we'll put our minds together, and I'll try and come down and race in the twins class. We'll see about getting a Triumph built up and set up to race down there. Let's see it. Yeah,
Oh,
let's go.
that sounds like a plan. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, that'd be a lot
I'll
of fun
try.
for sure.
I'll throw it on the list of my plans and to dos. I think
Yeah.
yeah, we should make it happen though. Yeah, and we have another race called Bathurst, which is where the famous car races, and it's on a trotting track or
Oh,
showgrounds, and that's about 810 meters, and they have a twins class. But I was surprised because I thought I read somewhere in our rules over here that yeah, the twins had to have no front brake and American
yep.
tires, but a lot of them seem to have like a trials tire and that sort of set up on the,
So,
so
yeah,
so it was sort of let's just squeeze these past. But they yeah, they were running it. Maybe I'm mixed up on the rules and it's only for the AFTN. But yeah, there was a Ducati. So we did a pod a while ago with Kenny Angel. If you look that one up, he races a
yep.
Ducati Monster. And yeah, that thing absolutely flies. So
Yeah,
that's
you'll see.
probably
You'll see a Ducati, and I failed to mention the evil stepchild KTM. The Super Dukes are very polarizing within the class of hooligan, but they are fast as hell. So
yeah,
now you'll see a lot of those too. And two of my really good friends out here in the Northwest are on those bikes. So every damn weekend I'm racing against those, and they make for a challenging night at the track, but you learn a lot. So you gotta really work. I've sniped them a few times, but I'll admit, they usually kick my ass.
yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I went out on my little practice track out the back. which is definitely not prepped at the moment, uh, on 17-inch road tires with the shitty pullback bars. And
Oh
that
yeah,
thing's got a good center of gravity. By about the fifth lap, I started tipping it in, and that's when the little alarm bells in my brain started going. You're only in
yeah,
light pants, and you didn't put any gear on here. Settle down.
yeah.
But I was just
No,
that excited to get it going.
yeah, I don't know if you listened to the recent pod that we did where we interviewed Cody, and Cody was talking about riding at Lima and how you have to just shut your brain off to ride Lima. And it made me think, I was like, that's what you have to do to put a road bike on a dirt track and go as fast as you can in the circle. You have to just tell your brain to shut off and just have fun for a few laps, because it 1 plus 1 should not equal 2 when you're doing that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's sort of the whole thing with racing, isn't it? It really is about shutting your brain off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's screaming at you. You're going too fast as you're coming into the corner. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
it's
there was
been
a quote by Brad Baker a number of years ago where he was talking about, I think it was in the Fast and Left short film that came out. Buddy of mine, Evan, made that incredible documentary if you haven't seen it, but he was
yeah, I
interviewed and
have.
he was talking. He said, everybody thinks that going in a circle is easy, and it is, but it's incredibly hard to go in a circle as fast as we do, right? So
Yeah.
that's where you got to like shut your brain off. And yeah, that's cool.
And I didn't realize it was actually something I wanted to find out, which you sort of answered yourself. But was it just availability? Is that why you jumped straight from the little bike KX to the KXL
Yeah, so
KLX?
this is
Sorry, KLX to
yes.
the Triumph. Was that what happened?
Yeah, funny story. So when I was doing it, I was having a lot of fun. And I wanted to do a 450, DTX bike, and I was talking to my wife, and she said, hell no, there's a bike already in your garage. Why can't you just ride that? So I started Googling, and I was like, looking at, can you race this bike? And so I discovered Hooligan, and I was like, you mean to tell me that I can, that bike, what? And so I started going down a rabbit hole, and yeah, would have been I hold this over her head. It would have been a lot cheaper if you'd have just let me build a 450, because on top of buying the bike a number of years ago, I mean, this isn't being braggadocious, and it probably pales in compared to some people, but I'm over 20 grand in the build of my Triumph Hooligan. I mean, hell, the engine alone is 8 grand,
Yeah.
and because it's purpose built, right? And needs suspension and wheels, and I mean all of that stuff. I mean, so nope, definitely just because the wife said so. There's the short answer.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, we've got to love your wife. You've got to say thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Yep.
So do you
Absolutely.
still ride it? Do you still ride it to work then?
No, no, no. I still do have, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the license plate, and then right next to it is the key. So I like to hold that over the head of a lot of the folks that say, oh, the only Harley should be in the hooligan class. I'm like, hey, I built my bike, and it was road legal, and it's air cooled, it's carbureted, it's 750 or higher CC. Like, it's old school hooligan if you want to get specific. It's just not stamped HD, right? So
Yeah.
no, yeah, it's not legal anymore.
There's so many good road bikes that I think are suitable for that sort of hooligan style racing.
Well, that's
I
where it
mean,
gets really polarizing too, because you think about all the good bikes that are out there, and you're like, hey, that's got this, that's got that, that could work, this could work, but nobody's ever done it before. And if I do that, then I ain't no hooligan no more, because my bike is liquid cooled and it's got an ECU. But okay, so if we stick with carburetors, then we're just basically in a few years going to be vintage. So what do we do? It's kind of, what do we do, right? We're kind of
yeah,
beholden to the history of the class. But yeah.
yeah. Well, I spent in our local motorbike shop about 20 minutes looking over the CF Moto CX 750 CXL, I think it is 750, and
Okay.
thinking, they're actually a pretty good base for a twin, because they've got a slipper clutch. They come out factory with a slipper clutch. They've
Huh?
got different sport modes. The only thing I didn't like was the swing arm, and funnily enough, the bike that won the AFTN Twins class was a CF Moto. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. No, it's a funny story about a slipper clutch. For a while there, actually went back and bought a 450. And when I bought the bike, I didn't realize that it had a slipper clutch. I skipped past that on the listing
Yeah.
when I bought it. So I was on the bike and just kind of threw it into the corner, expecting the engine braking that I have on the twin, and oh man, I about threw that bike over the wall. Luckily it was a cushion track and it ate up the tires
Yeah,
and slowed
yeah.
me down. But uh, I will admit I was very scared. then come to then come to find out that it's got a slipper clutch. I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, right. I've actually never used one to be honest with you. I've never had one, so I just
Yeah,
get that
it's
chatter.
yeah, no, it helps. I mean, there's definitely benefits to it. Switching gears is as it's slipper clutch, it's super easy. But if
Yeah,
you're someone that uses engine braking to slow down, get ready for
yeah. A
an
bit
eye
of a
opener.
yeah, a bit of a scary first lap.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Ask me how I know. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So, what's the plans for 2024 for you? I actually asked before we go to that. Were you at Salem Indoor in the weekend? Was that where you were?
I was. Yeah. So, Salem is about 6 hours from us, but it's just an incredible racetrack. It's the biggest indoor racetrack that we've ever been to. Um, it's worth the investment to drive over there. My son's got a brand new Cobra 50cc bike that we're trying to dial in the suspension, and so yeah, we raced over there over the weekend, and man, long drive, but it was good. For those that don't know, we can get into it a little bit. I had a really bad injury racing over the summer at Lima. The class I run, the hooligan class, we were a curtain raiser, if you will, on a number of races like Daytona and Ventura, Sonoya, Lima, just a few of the races. And I had a really bad get off and tore ACL, MCL, PCL, damaged my meniscus, dislocated my knee, nerve damage, all of that. So I was off the bike about 4 or 5 months, and I'm getting back into it. And so I went and raced this weekend, and I'm out of shape. Yep. We
Yeah.
figured that one out. I was looking at my heart rate monitor, thinking, "Jesus Christ."
So that was your very first one back, was it?
I've dabbled a few times, but that
Yeah.
was my first time letting it all hang out, letting my hair down, if you will.
And
And
in the
it was
hooligan
good.
class as well.
Yeah, low turnout. I had to run with some 250s, but there was another race going on up near Seattle. For those
Okay.
that don't know, Salem's down south of Portland, and then 6 hours. I think no, what is it? 4 hours up, whatever is Seattle, and there was a race up there. So it kind of split the turnout of the two,
Right.
but no, there's a few bikes, and yeah, no, it was good. It was good. It felt I felt alive, right?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you guys, you sort of played down your injury a bit on the tank slapping pod, I think. I didn't realize it was quite that nasty.
Oh yeah, I don't remember much. I'll say that. No, I'll tell you what happened. So, in at Lima, there are two well-known, not I guess you could call them divots. It's just where the water trucks come in and off the track, and everybody knows. And so coming out of corner two, I hit a rut, and then right after the rut, hit that divot, lost control of the bike, and started tank slapping. Pun, ha! But no, so for sure, I was tank slapping. The last thing I remember is getting catapulted over the handlebars, and then I got ran over going down the backstretch. The kid that was behind me, we were battling. He had nowhere to go. And, to his credit, I mean, and more than one person has corroborated the story because, like I said, I don't remember it, but he pitched his bike out of it because he was going right for my chest. And I would not be here if that would have happened.
Yeah.
And he shattered his hand. He's had like 5 or 6 surgeries. Bike's toast. But I just got to give old Johnson a pat on the back for that self-sacrifice. Kid's got a dad for that for sure. So, but I came to sliding down the backstretch, and all I remember is my leg not looking like it should, and hurting all over, and kind of started to come back. And one of the funniest stories, I was back in my pit and I asked one of my buddies that was there, Rory, Pier City Cycles. He was there. He come from over from England, and he was talking to me, and I was like, "Hey, so are the mains coming up?" And he was like, "Bro, you crashed in the main event. That was 2 hours ago." So
Yeah.
yeah, that was that. But no, it was pretty
Fe-
gnarly. I'd actually asked American Flat Track. I reached out to their media folks, and I said, "Hey, you know, with my physical therapist, we're kind of trying to figure out a game plan for rehab. I don't know what happened." And so I was trying to get like footage of the crash so I could show my PT. And the guy that runs it was like, "No, man, that crash was too gnarly. Insurance wise, we're not letting that footage get out." So because like
oh, right.
if you watch the re-air of the Lima race, they cut all that out. They the first attempt at the main was like a while ago, and they just cut all that out. So when you watch the hooligan part of that, the AFT race, it's from the night show. You don't see the earlier
Oh.
go where they made it like 3 laps for my dumbass crash. So
Yeah, right. I was wondering about that because yeah, I never saw it, and I watch all the fan choice coverage, and
yeah,
yeah, I
no,
was
I had a
surprised
lot of
about that.
people looking at my phone saying, "Hey, you're not. What happened? You're not in the restart. You're not in the restart." And
Yeah,
yeah, no, that's why.
yeah. Wonder. Yeah, that actually happened to my rider, Brendan McCowdy, because we didn't have live streaming at the last two rounds, and
Yeah,
on round five, his missus, yeah, she was all worried because she noticed his transponder wasn't ticking over, so she's going, "Where is
yeah.
he?" It was before. Where is he now? So. So
He's
yeah,
next to me
it's
over
pretty
here in the
good.
pits.
Yeah, he's in the first 18. He's all right. Broken foot, but
Okay.
yeah, all right.
Oh yeah. No, and
Yeah, it
yeah,
happens.
to add to the list of other things, I technically broke my foot too. I forgot about that one. So, but that was because of the hot shoe. So when he ran me over, the hot shoe, I think it got caught up or something, but you could see the damage on the hot shoe. It like pressed my foot down and yeah, broke a metatarsal bone. So yeah,
Right. Yeah.
but
You're
hey,
trying to
I'm
trying to
back.
save yourself. Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
big heavy bikes. That's sort of what scares me. But the way it
Yeah.
how planted it felt, I was thinking to myself, I think I could get pretty good on this.
Funny you talk
uh,
about planting a big bike. If you go back and look at I don't know if you saw it, but I posted a thing on the Evil Hours Racing Instagram about a picture of me coming out of corner and you can see my rotor glowing red on those heavy bikes, like on the short tracks. I'm a brake rider. Planting the bike, getting it to shoot, point, get out of the corner. I know it's some people hate it, some people don't, but no,
yeah.
I glow the shit out of my brake rotor trying to get that thing turned. So for sure.
I think I might be with you. Yeah, on my 450, I do that a bit, and it
Yeah.
was actually from my old bike. I was struggling to get any time, and someone said, "Oh, do you cover the brake at all?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "I'll try it." And once I started doing that, I was just getting through the corners a lot quicker. So I just keep doing it, and to the point where
Yep.
I've got no
At
brakes.
yeah. I've definitely had a few times where I go and press the lever and it's just going on its own. But no, like
Yeah.
a car track like at Sonoya when we ran with AFT, that was one of my better finishes. And I was going into the corner on the gas, full throttle, putting my brake down before, and then turning the bike over. And then when I would come out of the corner, I would just slip my foot off the brake and gas out, and it would like catapult it out. And
Yeah.
that's hey, Joe Kopp told me to do that one, so I do what Joe Kopp tells me to do, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
no,
Yeah, you got to try every suggestion, no matter who it comes from. But yeah, you'd be taking Joe's advice.
yep,
Hey, I was just actually wondering about it's a bit of a boring subject, but the insurance over there. What happens with you guys when you crash? Like, are you covered at all, or do you have
yeah.
private
So
health
there's
insurance? Or
well, I am an anomaly. I'll explain that in a second, but predominantly, yeah, everybody's got private insurance, and you're on your own cord for that one because you were doing something stupid, right? But there is a nonprofit called Back on Track, and they help injured riders, both amateur and professional. They used to be
Yeah.
called Rookies of 79, but they rebranded because now, and I'll give them a shout out. It's really cool. They are now the official injured rider charity for Flat Track and now Moto America. So
Oh, okay. Awesome.
if a rider goes down, they've helped them out with financial assistance. When Brad Baker had his really bad crash, they helped him out. When Ollie had his really bad crash a number of years ago, they've been helping him out over in England.
Yeah.
So they do fantastic work. And if you want to learn more, to those listening, about what Back on Track is all about, please, please, please look them up. Ronnie Jones, it started a bunch of pros from the class of 79, got together and started this charity, and they have all injured riders. But for me personally, because I was in the service and I have service connected disabilities, I'm 100% by the VA. I mean, I gotta wait a really long time to get anything, but so here's another funny story. When I got injured, had my surgery, I was back onto crutches, almost free from crutches. Like, I was starting to flirt with it before I got like a wheelchair from the VA. So we could do a whole podcast on what it's like to have the VA as your insurance provider over in America, but we'll refrain from that one. But no, so that's how it kind of works. If you get injured, you reach out to Rookies of 70 or Back on Track, and they will help you out. They helped me out when I got hurt. And when I got hurt, I had to have my 18-year-old niece drive me all the way back to, out in Washington. And, we flew her back, and without, Back on Track's help, it would have been really expensive and detrimental to my own personal budget to get my niece to drive me back with one leg and fly her back. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. And I think we're going to need to come up with something like that over here, to be honest. The Motorcycling Australia, they're a great organisation. They do what they can do, but the insurance is getting harder and harder to get for them. And I'm just sort of starting to search early for what happens if they can't get underwritten, and we end up having nothing. And our personal or private insurance over here, and that doesn't cover. Most of them will have a disclaimer in the teeniest print saying if you're riding or racing a motorcycle or motor vehicle, you're not covered.
And, and I can't speak specifically to Back on Track's like organizational structure of how they receive fundings and stuff, but a lot of it is, benevolence from, really, caring companies, manufacturers, so there's a number of ways to get that support in, and start helping riders out. And they have a schedule of benefits for, like, if this happened to you, you get X amount of dollars. If you got transported or have surgery, you get this. And obviously, if you're a pro, they give out more money, right? Yeah. Everybody knows it. It's fine. Yeah. It's their livelihood. So yeah, it's a great organization.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. What's the highest temperature you get over there? Is 89 point? Yeah, is 89.6 hot?
All right. So where I'm located is up in the Northwest, and it's pretty dry and arid. But we'll get 100. So
okay, yeah, righto. Yeah.
For those, you'll see 32 to 33. Yeah. But it doesn't get really humid. Now, where I was born and raised, we're down in kind of a valley right along the big old Mississippi River that cuts the middle part of the country up, and it gets really humid during the summer. And so, yeah, it doesn't get as hot, but it's pointless to shower, right? So, and I know in Australia it gets pretty damn humid. So you guys can definitely understand that one for sure. But
some parts are really good and some are nice and dry. Heat. Yep. Where I live, I'm surrounded by a lot of water, and we've just had like a string of 14-degree days, and today is 32 degrees, which is about 89.6 Fahrenheit. I think that's right. Yeah. And I'm sitting here going, it's shit.
Yeah. You guys don't have a lot of you guys don't have a lot of basements in your house either, so that doesn't help.
No, but
That doesn't
no
help.
basements. No
Yeah.
basements.
It's
My
just
my
funny. So out here in the Northwest, nobody has basements, right? But like back in the Midwest, everybody's got a damn basement. And I think it has a lot to do with one, the land is cheaper, but two, we have tornadoes. So kind of need that basement.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they look terrifying. I've seen them on the news and stuff. And when
Yeah.
you have tornado season, yeah, Corey
Yeah,
spoke
yeah.
about that a bit too. And people look at you as being pretty rich if you've got a basement from other parts of the country, that sort of stuff. I've got
Yeah.
a 2-story house, and people think I'm loaded, and I'm but broke.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yep.
But
I get
no,
that one.
it's
No, so
lovely,
in the
lovely
summer
place to live.
months, it gets super hot and riding in leathers absolutely sucks. So like I'm one of those riders that like as soon as the race over, I've parked the bike, boom, first thing I do is take off my leathers. Like I don't care. Like I will add that slight convenience of having to put it all back on because I can't. It's just too hot.
And in the amateur ranks, is it compulsory to wear airbags and that sort of stuff, or is that only for our pro riders?
Yeah, only pro riders. Really, it comes down to my educational background is in safety, so I just look at everything in hazard and risks, and
Yeah.
I wear leathers on most tracks. Now in the winter when we're doing indoor, I'll be honest, I don't really wear my leathers. I'll still wear padding and stuff, but I'll wear moto gear in the winter because we're just not going as fast. But yeah, nah, it's not required by any means, but my son has them. He wears them, but yeah, no, that's well, yeah. It's funny you mentioned that leathers. Tank Slab podcast. We're doing a one of those Patreon pods. We're talking about safety gear
Oh
and
yeah.
leathers and helmets and boots, and Bobby Fong's coming on to talk about to help talk about all that, and just the little things like why this, why that. So for sure, that's the long answer to a short question.
Yeah, well, everyone should check that out, including myself. I haven't done that yet. There's a couple that I want to have a look at, and yeah, it's just making the time at the moment. Been pretty busy, and that's a great excuse, isn't it? But
Yeah,
it sort of is true. Hopefully, I'm hoping Christmas is actually going to be a time where I can catch up on a few things that I've
yeah.
wanted to look into, but other things are sort of a bit more priority. But um,
Do people wear leathers in Australia? Is it
absolutely.
quite common? Okay.
I wouldn't say it's quite common. It's becoming a little bit more common.
Huh.
So there was years ago when I first started, a lot of people wore Kevlar suits, so like a speedway type suit.
Yeah.
And then they sort of started disappearing. I'm not sure what happened there, and then
Hmm.
maybe just the nylon MX gear got a bit better quality or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but yeah, we do get people, especially on the oil tracks over here. So they're our hardest surface as far as track goes, dirt track.
I love some
Yeah,
oil tracks.
yeah. So people will wear them for that, but yeah, there's probably not that. There's probably a handful, maybe a couple handfuls of people that have levers. But yeah, quite often the road racers that come over to do some cross training will just use their levers. But
Yeah.
yeah, nylon's probably the biggest. The odd Kevlar suit as well, but nylon motocross stuff's definitely the biggest thing that people wear. But back protectors are a must. That's part of our rules here. You've
Yep.
got to have a back protector. It used to be elbow guards too, but I think they've changed that now. And
Yeah. It's funny
knee
you
pads,
mentioned
but yeah,
Kevlar. That's starting to make a resurgence back here in the States. I know it's a speedway thing. Kind of went away for a while, and now you're starting to see more and more riders show up in Kevlar suits. And they're definitely lighter.
yeah,
I'll give you that.
light
They
and
just don't have
strong.
as yeah.
Yeah, I
From what
reckon
I've
there's
been
just
told, you don't have it like if you go down, you don't have as many crashes in them because they'll start to rip a little bit more. I've never worn a Kevlar, so I can't speak to that, but that's what I've been
yeah.
told.
Yeah, look,
Um,
I think there's somewhere in between the nylon and the levers would be a good way to look at it. So
yeah,
nylons, if you ever a high speed crash in nylons, kiss that jersey goodbye. They just fall to pieces. Well, the ones I've had have, and it doesn't matter if
oh
it's
yeah,
Alpine Star, Fox, or whatever. Actually, the
yeah.
best one that I've got, I think it's from the 70s. green and orange. It's really, yeah, really retro, and it's so thick. Like it's really thick.
Well,
But
it's funny you say that because back in the old day, all the rugby jerseys were cotton, and everybody swears by how the cotton jerseys were better. Like, yeah, but they're 4 pounds when they start soaking in sweat.
yeah, well, that's what you do the weights for. It's not the game.
Yeah, yeah,
It's to
yeah, for
carry
sure.
the clothing. Yeah, how beautiful. So if I was, so you're going to come over here and race a twin, which sounds like a good plan. So if I was to come over
Yeah.
there next season, what race would you pick for me to come to?
Oh, okay. So out where I'm at, right? There's one cushion track, and from what I've been told about Australia, is basically everything's a cushion track. Tell me, is that right or wrong? Where you'd say most of the tracks are cushion? Loose.
Yeah, 90.
Okay, so what I would say is to come out to Spokane, where I'm from. It's a quarter mile. So what is that? 400 meters?
Yep.
It's a big.
Yes.
It's a big one. So I would say it's a little bit bigger than 400 meters. Cushion, and it is a lot of fun. Pam and Paul, who run it, do a great job. But yeah, no, in the Northwest, you got Castle Rock, you've got Spokane. Um, there's a bunch of indoors. Not as big as a variety like if you were to fly to where I grew up in Illinois, where you've got miles, half miles, quarter miles, cushion, oil tracks, groove, bank car tracks. So I would say, I'm now thinking about it, if you wanted to get your bang for your buck, I would say come over for amateur nationals in June.
Yeah.
It's a nice little break for you to get away from the cold. But come down to Southern Illinois and spend a whole week of racing, and then cap it off with watching the DeCoin Mile. That's what I would do, because they've got all of the class. So you've got like the youth, amateurs, and then veterans. So you've got all the kids on the 50s all the way up to the 85s. And you've got the amateurs, which those are the kids that are like on the hunt, right? They're getting ready to go pro. You got the 250s,
Yeah, right.
450s. And then, the veterans class are like 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, vintage, blah, 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 blah. Kind of the sportsman classes. And I would say come over, ride in the veterans class, and you got a half mile, you got a mile, you got a TT, and you got an indoor. So
Yeah,
all right there
beautiful.
on the fairgrounds. Yep. There was,
Yeah, well,
God,
that would
just
cover it,
going
wouldn't
through the
it?
list,
Yeah.
there were so many Australians that came over. I mean, I'm trying to find a list of all of them, but I swear to God, like the whole damn Drain family came over and took a village with them. I don't know
Yeah,
who
yeah.
all,
They're,
and a
they're
lot of them are
definitely
coming over.
they're definitely gaining momentum. I heard on the tank slapping pod. I didn't actually know. I'm really upset, Fifes, that you didn't tell me. But yeah, that Matt and Jed are coming over for the throwdown,
Yep.
so that'll be awesome. Jed's an
Yeah,
awesome.
not speaking of that, we've got some funny talkers coming from England and Finland. Where else? Yeah, Australia. Yeah, there's a bunch of countries coming over for winter throwdown, so it'll be a lot of fun. But it's the same too with amateur nationals. And I actually got to know a family really well. I was trying to remember how to pronounce her name, and I'm gonna butcher it. Her last name's Robinson. First name's Katarina. Katarna.
Katana.
Katarna. Yeah,
Yep.
her and her old man, I got to know
Yeah,
them
cool.
pretty well. There weren't any girls in that one of her classes, so they threw her in with the hooligans, and she swam. So it was pretty
Oh,
cool.
good.
It was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, as much as I'd like the riders to stay home and spend their money on racing here and that sort of thing, it's great that they are coming over and
Yeah.
does it get Americans riders itchy feet to come over here and do some racing with us, or that's not really talked about yet, or what do we
I
got to
would
do to get some
say,
of them over?
yeah, no, you see it in Canada, like riders going up to race in Canada. We had Sammy Halbert go over and race in Europe, and for those of you that don't know, if Sammy Halbert looked over and like breathed heavily on a rider, he was
They fall down.
disqualified. It was he wasn't in Kansas anymore, as they say. Very
Yeah.
different rules over there. So that definitely put a stain on a lot of riders wanting to go race in other countries. But obviously, as I've kind of mentioned, like with AFTN, the Aussie, system coming online, I know that there's definitely been some chatter like, oh man, I kind of want to go see, how, Tom and Max and, everybody, how they learned and kind of gonna go right over there. And obviously with my own background of kind of traveling the world doing dumb shit, like I kind of want to add to that and go race down in Australia. So it's definitely, as my wife listens to this podcast, because I know she will, I've definitely been kind of budgeting that in a lot of the proposals that I put forward to some of my own personal sponsors. It's like, hey, what I want to do is go race around over in Australia. So, it's not out of the question to see me roll up and, I'll race Mad Dog. I don't care. So,
And you'll bring the whole family?
probably not. No. Yeah, airfare is just an arm and a leg. And I know that I live over on the West Coast, so really all I'd have to do is fly to Seattle, and it's a straight shot down. But still,
Okay.
even then, it's kind of an exhausting experience. When I was flying to New Zealand, I had to fly from the middle of America all the way over to Los Angeles and then down. And for those of you that don't know, America's really big. So, and Australia's huge too. I mean, you guys are definitely bigger, but I mean, just that initial leg was just like, God damn. And then I'd get to Australia, and then I get to New Zealand. There was a few times I had to fly to Sydney and then back over to New Zealand. So it
Yeah,
was
they would have
it's a
sucked. Yeah.
hassle. No,
Yeah,
so
I
that's
don't.
definitely the plan, is to try and coordinate a bike to ride at. One of my kind of sponsors, personal sponsors, is actually Triumph.
Oh yeah.
It's very minimal, but I've been beating the drum for them to come on and let's go, because they used to have a factory team, and so they helped me out a little bit. And so just kind of working with some of the folks there. It's like, all right, what if we got a dealership over in Australia to loan out a bike for a weekend or something like that? And so I've definitely
Yeah.
had those conversations with people.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what
Well,
happens.
well, you're welcome to come and crash here anytime, mate. I've got a
There you
few
go.
spare
Well,
rooms. That's
see,
why and I'm not just
if
saying
we
it because
do
you're on
that,
the pod either. So
no, no, you gotta make sure when I
genuine.
when I
Yeah.
when I come over, I've got to have there's got to so in my contract, we're gonna write this out now. I'm just kidding. I gotta have a case of Spates and V. I don't know if you remember V, or if you've had it, if they sell it in Australia, but it's an energy drink over in New
Yeah,
Zealand that I
yeah.
was addicted to. It's probably piss and vinegar at this point. It's probably really terrible, but I we gotta have it. We gotta have it.
Well, have you listened to many of our pods, the Kelpie pod?
Yep, yep, yep. I've been starting to get into them. I
So you'll
Just
know
because of
that
how
Tom
spread out
Norvey,
everything is. What's that?
yeah, you'll know that Tom Norvey has an energy drink sponsor called Send It, and I actually got to try one at the Aussie titles, and they're actually pretty nice. I reckon we could tee you up
Okay.
with some of those. A new addiction.
There we go. There we go. We'll try it. Let's see if
Maybe you can,
they can dethrone V.
yeah, maybe you can become the American ambassador or something.
There we go. There we go. Let's
Yeah,
do
I
it. No,
reckon anything's possible, isn't it, Eric? Anything's possible.
when's the next Aussie flat track when's that start? When's the next one start?
That's a actually very good question because I don't think he's released the dates yet. This year. I'm already calling it last year. This year was June. It started in,
Okay.
which
Okay.
it was going to clash with the amateur nationals. I mean, unless we do a family swap or something.
Yeah. No. No, we can
but
yeah, we'll definitely get something figured out for sure.
yeah, Bathurst is. I'm pretty sure that was in March, which is the long track event, which
Yep.
that gets like 200 plus riders. It's a pretty big one.
March?
Um,
Okay. There's really not a
so
lot of
there is
racing
that
going on
one.
here in March. So I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
and there'll be club days and stuff too, where you can rock up with
Okay.
19s or 2118 really. So
I'll
um,
rock up with a sign that says will ride bike for washing. I'll do whatever I gotta do.
sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm keen. We did well, I had two overseas trips this year. I went to New Zealand for my Omar's 93rd birthday, and then just happened to be a race in Christchurch where I come from at the same time. So I managed to throw a leg over there and meet all the South Island boys, which was really good. And then went to China just not long ago, and it's just got that travel bug happening again. And I've
So do you
wanted to
know
go to the Netherlands and race there, and England and the States as well. I
do you
mean,
know
if I
Johnny
can race, it's
Brazel?
great. If I can't, that's still good. But I do,
Do you
yeah.
know? Okay, Okay, yeah. So I've been a long time
Yeah, how do
follower
you
of
know
his
Johnny?
over just from social media. I've got actually a sticker of his Johnny Speed Shop, a sticker on my trailers. That's really cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What's up,
he
Johnny?
ran into me. He ran into didn't you,
Oh,
Johnny? He
damn it,
ran into
Johnny.
me, and and then after the race, he comes up and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry about it." Yeah, that's nothing to. Yeah, we're not British Speedway rules over here either.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
no, I don't know if, what was it, the last video of Sammy getting protested against, and Jared Brook, you could see him in the background shaking his head as well, going, "What, what the fuck?" Yeah, because it ain't like that here. No, we can
Nah.
have some pretty feisty racing over here, bar banging.
Did you
Um,
so when you went to New Zealand, did you race over at Moore Park?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
okay, okay, yeah.
I actually never raced as a kid. I started racing when I was 32. So
Okay.
yeah, came a bit late to racing, and I went and did because at that stage there was no long track happening here in Australia. So the Burt Munro, which is a festival of speed, so to speak, to celebrate the world's fastest Indian in Invercargill, they have 4 days
Yeah.
of racing there, and they had a long track. So I booked in to go for that, and then it got cancelled because they had a dispute with the trotting track. And I'm like, fuck, I've paid for everything. And what am I going to do? So I bought a set of motard wheels, and Dad had got an '03 YZ 450 for me. And I said, there's some motard wheels coming for you. I'm going to have a go at racing motard. So that's what I did. Yeah, raced every event in the motard class and the beach race with the motocross wheels on it. It was bloody awesome. I went back another 2 times. So yeah, that's the only racing I'd done in New Zealand until this year when I did the flat track. I borrowed a bike off a guy called Drakey Drake there, or Wayne Drake, and
Okay.
yeah, Johnny was there because the superbike stuff had finished, and
Yep.
that's what he normally focuses on. And yeah, battled with Wayne and Johnny all day, and yeah, it was
Isn't
really
there, if
good.
I remember correctly, isn't there like an airport like right up next to the racetrack?
Yeah, so yeah, it isn't that far. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It
Okay,
isn't that
because I
far at
just
all.
remember, yeah, I thought it was like right off the runway and there was a racetrack, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. You can be spinning laps and some plane lands right over you.
Oh, I could be wrong. It could be that close. We went from Dad's and not straight from the airport, so I was a bit disorientated.
Ah, there you
Because
go.
yeah, Christchurch is what, probably double, almost triple the size of when I left. I left in '97, so
Yeah, yeah. Let me
yeah,
see.
it's quite a bigger place now. Yeah, but no,
Okay, yeah, no.
definitely a good racetrack. That one, I really enjoyed it. A little bit more clay based than our tracks over here, and a little bit harder pack.
Oh, I was gonna ask if it was another cushion track, but it's not okay, cool. Hard pack, that's cool.
Well, it sort of is like it had surface. It wasn't,
Yeah,
wasn't like concrete, but
yeah.
yeah, it had surface. But I'm really jealous of the indoors. I really want to have a go of an indoor over your way, or if we can create one here.
There.
What's the best indoor, concrete or
Oh,
dirt?
dirt for sure, for sure. Yeah. I know. Yeah, Corey and them they just did Timonium, which is a super, super small concrete. But for me, I like Salem. It's big enough to where you can actually get racy. It's more than
Yeah,
just a whole shot race.
yeah,
And you spray it, you pack it, you get it ready, and then boom, you don't have to do any track prep the rest of the day because it's inside, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and Salem runs in conjunction with some carts, and so they do all the hard yard of putting down some rubber and making it nice and racy, and then we get to go out there and skid around it. So yeah, no, I'm definitely a fan of dirt. I
And
drive
so
Corey up the wall because I always like he'll talk about something and I'll be like, oh, is that on concrete? I don't care because I don't know if you know this, but he's the race director of the Mini Cup for Moto America, and that's
yeah.
a really cool cool gig or whatever. But no, I definitely just give him shit. It's like no, it's not on dirt. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know why. Probably because we don't have it, and But I did like that they sprayed Dr. Pepper syrup on it on the concrete and that was
Yeah.
intriguing. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, so they do that at a number of races. The really big one is definitely Flat Out Friday, in conjunction with the Harley Davidson. I mean, it's in Milwaukee. That's where Harley Davidson HQ is, and right there in the Pfizer Arena where the Milwaukee Bucks play. They put down Coke syrup or whatever, and yes, I haven't raced it, but I've been told they walk in, it just smells like a soda. So that's kind of cool. So you get some two-stroke smell, little four strokes, and then some soda. Nothing that could possibly go wrong with lungs or anything like that. I don't see anything bad happen with all those smells going in your body.
No, it'll be perfectly fine. Yeah.
What do they say? She'll be right, mate.
Yeah, she'll be right, mate. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. So those dirt ones, are they permanently dirt or do they bring that dirt in and out? I mean, I know you don't
So
own one,
no,
but
No, so again, I go back to Salem, but even the same with Elma and Puyallup and Spokane, they're all like this. But I know specifically Spokane or Salem, it's the same dirt, and they go and scoop it up and put it in a corner and just keep it there until it's time to bring it back out. So I'm sure at this point it's like a little bit of dirt, but like mostly burnt rubber. So no, but it's that adds to it. I mean, you got just good dirt, and yeah, it's like shit. You can blow a corner at Salem and just keep on trucking. I mean, it's a great racetrack.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so what else do they use those arenas for then?
Horses, yeah.
Oh,
A
okay, so
little,
mainly horse
yeah,
things. Yeah, right.
yeah. Kick the damn horses out and go in a circle. That's what it all comes down to. Yep, most of them are fairgrounds and just showing arena type buildings. And yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think our horse people have got too much stock here. I
Oh,
don't
it
think
is
we're I,
definitely the
I
same
don't
over here.
I don't think we'd get in.
Yeah, you gotta plant the roots for sure because no, they are I don't care. What are they gonna do? Sue me? They're pretentious as shit. So no, sounds like they're
If
the
you
same over in Australia.
if you're gonna get sued, it's gonna be in your country, isn't it?
Yeah, we're Sue happy. Yeah, you looked at me
Yeah,
wrong. I'm
pretty.
Sue.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just one of those things because we're looking from the outside in, but yeah, it seems to be you're either going to get shot or sued.
Yeah, you're for sure on that one. No, a lot of it is just because like, I can't. Everybody's got insurance, right? So it's like this like other way to dig at somebody because it's cool. I'm gonna sue you. Like if you get into a wreck, you know, well, I'm gonna sue you, but the only thing, your insurance company's paying the money, right? So it's like it's this distant thing. Yeah, it's cultural for sure.
It's crazy. Oh, there's a whole TV show on it, Judge Judy.
Yeah, yeah, you're not. I mean, oh
If
God, and there's a dime a dozen on those shows for sure. No, like sitting there watching them, like, are you serious right now? But yeah, welcome to
yeah,
America.
yeah, I would love to come over. My wife doesn't have any desire to go to America. I'm not sure why, but yeah,
She doesn't
fascinating.
want some freedom. When you get off the airplane, you get a jug of freedom. Yep.
Right.
They stopped doing
Yeah.
the flower lays and stuff like in Hawaii. Nope, you just get an American flag and a steak. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're vegetarians, so we're fucked. Well, unless it's a
Tofu.
vegan steak or something. Yeah. We're not even vegan. We're pescatarian. Well, we have a good fish steak. Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, nah. I like fish. I like fish for sure.
I don't actually know if there is such a thing as the fish steak, but anyway.
We'll make it. There's your first $1 million.
Yeah, well, we've just sort of made it public with at least 79 people, so yeah, we better get onto it. So you got the kids to bed. Have they stayed in bed?
Yeah, nah, they're on the other side of the house. Yeah, so the wife's in the other room watching TV. The two kids are in bed, and I'm sitting here talking flat track. It's good.
Yeah,
Life is good.
awesome. And your son's racing a Cobra. Is it two boys, or have you got a daughter in it as well?
Yeah, not just a boy at the moment. The girl is she's 3. She's got a little strider, a little balance bike.
Oh, yes.
But right now Ollie He is 7, so he turned 7 this year. So the way that it works in America is you start off on, so if you're in the chain class, there's a whole nother subcategory for shifters like the Honda 50s or shaft for the PWs, but he races a chain. So in the way that they
Yeah.
do that is 4 to 6 is the kind of the younger, and then 7 to 8 is the advanced. This summer at nationals, he actually got second to Corey's son,
Yeah,
and
right.
so
Awesome.
he got second in nationals. Cruz got first. But this coming year, we're aging. He's going to be 7. Well, he is 7, right? So he'll be racing in the advanced 50 chain class, and he's got a. We just bought him a brand new 2024 Cobra FWE. So super excited to have him get on that. We got the suspension done by Dave Durrell, and it's a ripper. I don't know if you have many kids over in Australia that are on those Cobras, but they're a problem when they show up compared to like the KTM's or like Kawasaki. Like I mean,
Yeah,
just go
right.
down the list.
Yeah.
They're a race bike through and through. I mean, you don't really have to do anything to them, and they're reliable. It's a great bike. So he's been on that, and he is starting to make a name for himself out here and having a lot of fun. And so we're going to take him down to Corey's race in Florida in January. It's a winter national. And
Yeah.
so there's about 10 kids signed up right now, and he's the new kid on the block in the 7 to 8 class. So we're just gonna go throw him out there, throw him to the wolves, and sink or swim. But he's excited. He's got this little personality that is so different than mine, and that he doesn't care about if fast kids are there. He doesn't care what bikes are there. He doesn't like when fast kids aren't at the race. Like, I'll admit to that. He likes it when other fast kids are there. He likes the challenge, and like, buddy, I mean, going down to Florida, there are gonna be fast kids there. He's like, I can't wait. I can't wait. I want to see how I do. And so
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
he didn't learn that from me. I'm a worry wart, but no, he's coming up
champion
for
in the
sure.
champion in the
Yeah, yeah.
making by the sounds of it. And you're going up against that super celebrity of cruise texture.
Yeah, he said they're like little buddies, man. When they were at amateur nationals, we had to like flag him down, like, hey, put your toys down. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Both of you. No, they're good little buddies. They hang out when they're at the track and play and stuff. And always, when we'll go to a race, he's like, is Cruz gonna be there? I'm like, maybe, I don't know, buddy. But yeah, no, Cora's little guy has definitely gone viral, and that's so cool. And I'm definitely one of the parents that, like, I made a post on Facebook not that long ago. It's like, if you find yourself ever rooting against a kid, your mother didn't love you enough. Like, kids unilaterally need support. So you should, like, in a 50cc class, who gives a shit who wins? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Essensen's not signing my son because he won a Salem indoor race, right? It's just, at this point they're learning and developing skills. And I so I people, I'll be honest, people have asked me like, hey, how is it with Corey when you and your son are racing? Like, we could give a shit less. Like, we love that our sons race in the sport. We love
Yeah.
that they're coming up in the same class. It's good for branding. Both of our boys ride and race each other, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
it's not contentious at all. And I'm gonna stand on a soapbox for that one, that I just hope more parents when they're at the track, like, step back and think, like, your words have weight to these kids, and just let them rip. They'll figure their shit out later. If they want to do flat track, if they want to race, they'll do it on their own. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of American Super Camp, but it's a school over here that teaches people how to dirt race. And Danny is the guy that owns it. And I've done his class, and he talks about, like, young kids. Like, he doesn't even like when parents try and sign their young kids up for the school. It's like, nah, just let them go in circles. They'll figure it out. So there, I'm off my soapbox now. Just let the kids be kids.
Yeah, and I think from what you're saying, that's what we sort of started off with this pod talking about, is the camaraderie of the sport, and
Yep.
just wanting to be there to hang with your mates and race them, and have fun racing them. It really, yeah, it
I
really
mean,
doesn't matter who wins, does it? But I
I mean,
know,
obviously, Oliver will come off the track and be pissed if he like had a bad race, right? Like a couple weeks ago, he blew a start and had to go from the back row, and there were like 10 little 50s out there, and worked his way all the way up to third. And, was just mad that he just didn't have enough time to get going. But like 30 seconds after coming off the track, he's playing with his toys, right? So, I mean, what if I stood up there and be like, you blew your start, you need to focus. What the hell is that going to do? Right. It's just, yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I was asking about too, with the professional side as well. If that kills any, I wonder if it kills that for many of the riders, because we've got some pretty fast kids, and he's actually a senior now, but I still call him a kid. He's like 18, maybe he actually might be 20 or something. But we were riding XR 100s around at the Christmas party, and it was like he was that was like his Christmas present. It was just the joy of being on the bike, and
you
I think
definitely
that,
hear that from some of the kids that are coming up. Like, they'll chat with me at races or whatever, and I've heard a number of them say that growing up it wasn't a lot of fun because their dad was so hard on them, and they really really makes them happy to see like how Corey and I'm not saying Corey and I are the greatest parents of all time, because no, we're not, but we've definitely taken a stance that we're going to be supportive and high five the other kids, give them fist bumps, like cheer them on when the other kids win, because a lot of the racers have said how much they love, like, whenever they see how I interact and stuff, and because they're like, man, going to a track with my dad sucked. So I don't want to perpetuate that with the next generation.
yeah, that's shit, isn't it? Yeah, those dads need to take a chill pill and take a couple
Yeah.
of steps back and let their kids be, for sure. All three of my girls were racing at one time, and I actually had a moment where I had to tell myself off, because my middle daughter, we had a block of land before we moved here, and that's where I was teaching them to ride. And she was going like an absolute cut snake, and it just like, yeah, hammering it. And I knew she could win her class. And when we didn't really realize at that stage that she actually suffered from severe anxiety, and so when she'd line up, she'd just be having huge panic attacks. And when she'd go out on the track, she'd just ride like a nana. And I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? Like, up at the block, no one can get near you, and here you just and last going around the track. And I didn't understand. I started getting angry, and I had to grab myself by the scruff and say, "Hold on a minute, she's just a kid. There's something else going on here. You know how she can ride. She's riding like this."
And I've told this to people, that the only thing that I'll ever really stand up and have a chat with Oliver about is if I see him doing something unsafe. There's an expectation to, rule number one in our house is to, be smart out on the track. Don't do anything dangerous, or if I so at Salem, he was out by quite a bit, I'll go ahead and say it. And he started playing around with his foot out on the track, not putting it down and stuff like that. When he pulled off the track, he was like, I won. And I was like, yeah, you also were being an asshole on the track. Like, you don't act like that. It looks showboaty, but it's also dangerous. And he was like, oh, okay, I didn't know. And so, he's learning that, everybody, you're on a fishbowl when you're out on the track or whatever. So I just had to tell him, like, we don't do that. And he was like, okay. So he didn't do it for the rest of his races. But that's the only time you'll ever really hear me, have a stern chat with him, is if I see him doing something unsafe or something that's not a good sportsman, right? Because he's learning. He's 7 years old. They don't know those things.
Yeah, that's right. Bloody hell. Yeah. Yeah, I have, like you said, they're kids, and I probably shouldn't be like this, but I'm quite jealous of the kids of today. A lot of the opportunities that these kids are getting are just, it's mind blowing. Like going to race in America when you're 10 and 11 years old, and you're from Australia or any other country. I think that's just and the kids like Jed, we've had him on the pod, and he's just super grateful, and he's more mature than some of the teenagers or young adults in the pits, in a lot of ways. It's amazing what this sport is doing for some people. And
it's funny what you say that. It kind of makes me think a conversation that I've had with Corey off air and stuff as well, is a lot of these kids, there are things that, to summarize it, that you can't teach a kid to be laser focused. And steadfast, focused on a dream. And there are just some kids that grow up and they have that knack where their entire life surrounds racing a motorcycle. And, the Dallas Daniels, right? The Cody Koffs. I mean, there's a list of riders that are out there now, but like their entire life, it's not because their parents forced it on them. It's just, your kid's either going to have it or not. I'm sorry, but you can't instill that drive in your kid. So, relax.
I'm actually witnessing it firsthand and very proud to say so with my middle daughter. And of course, I
Yeah.
love all my daughters and they're all awesome. Yeah, with AFL so Australian
Yeah.
Football Women's League, she's going gangbusters, and she's just, probably 2 or 3 years ago, she said to me, "Oh, I want you to help me with working out. I want you to do this, I want you to do that." And I said, "Oh, look, I want you to succeed, but it's really up to you. It's not up to me. If you want to succeed at something, you're the one that has to put the work in." And she sort of had a hissy fit at me, and I was, yeah, okay, well, whatever. And then about 6 months later, something switched. I think someone in her club or someone said, "Oh, you've got real potential." And now ever since then, she's been laser focused. And oh man,
Well, that's because
she's a machine.
kids don't ever listen to their parents, right? It's whenever somebody
Well,
else tells them something, right?
yeah, that's definitely true. When I started coaching, I had to go at coaching my girls for about 3 minutes and realized in that 3 minutes this ain't going to work.
Yep, for
Yeah,
sure.
other
It's
dude
funny to talk
won't.
about the AFL. Man, I tried. I went to a practice out for that once, and I don't think I've ever been so tired in my life. Y'all run too much. Too much running. Can't
Well,
do
they
it.
reckon it's a full marathon if you play the whole game or something.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not.
probably. That, yeah, doesn't
Yeah,
surprise me.
it's not my game. I actually enjoy it a lot more now that we've been involved with her, and
Yeah.
I of course get out there and practice with her and stuff. Yeah, a couple of times I've thought about joining the oldies, and then I go, get real, focus on the bikes.
I'll say
Let the engine do the work.
I don't know if I've had more fun. Speaking of off the wall sports, I don't know if I've had more fun in my life than just getting absolutely hammered watching cricket. So I think that's a sport where you're supposed to be drunk and watching it. And then don't get me started on T20 because that's even more fun. But I know I barely remember going to the local cricket games, but
I was going
they
to,
are fun.
I was going to say the only way you get me to watch cricket is to get me hammered. I cannot
Oh,
stand watching cricket.
falling asleep watching it. Just start
What
off with
the?
a
Actually, our middle daughter Willow, who's the footy player, she's very sporty and she loves cricket. And she took me along to what Big Bash game or something, a
yeah.
women's one. And yeah, they're short games, and I actually didn't mind that at all. But yeah, all these test games, and yeah, it doesn't really do much
Yeah,
for me.
if I remember correctly, one team bats like all day, and then like the next day the other team bats. If I'm not, I can't remember the rules exactly. Somebody out there tell me. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, the alcohol did its job, I've got to say, by the sounds of it. You walked out of there none the wiser, and you felt good
Yep.
or bad the next day, whichever way you look at it. Actually, we went. I always thought I wasn't that competitive, but we went and did a big group of laser skirmish or laser tag about a week
Yeah.
ago, and there was some shitheads. Like they would deliberately wait, just stand there and wait for your thing to recharge and shoot you straight away. And boy, oh boy, did I wish that was full contact. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, I might be really shit with this laser gun, but I'm pretty good with my hand. And yeah, I could see me planting you pretty easy.
All right. So what you're saying is don't come in close on the racetrack because you're liable to get off the bike and go fisticuffs.
Yeah, well, no, I would just, I just give it back if someone rams it into me like Johnny did. I'll just hold my line and give it back if the opportunity strikes. But yeah,
Speaking of that, did you watch any
all
of
in
the
safety, of
Panhandle
course.
Clash highlights from this past weekend? Robbie Bobby McClendon's race. Did you see any of those? with Sammy Halbert getting spicy.
Yeah, did he win the main? Is that the one that he won the
Yeah,
main?
yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I
Yeah, I was
saw
watching
something there.
the race with him and Dalton Gautier getting sporty with each other, and I was just having a chuckle. I was like, "Yep, that's those two for sure."
That is, it is a fun way to race. I've got to admit, if you can trust the other rider that you're doing it
Yeah.
with, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, awesome,
Yeah,
awesome
absolutely.
way to race. And look, I'm sure they would have been walking off smiling, both of them. So
Well,
yeah,
after the middle fingers were given to each other, yeah, I think they
yeah,
probably all cooled down and were like, "Yeah, that's right."
yeah, yeah. Oh, fantastic, mate. So you've already had your dinner and everything.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah. Get ready
yeah.
to go hit the hay after this.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, I might let you do that. Thanks so much for helping me work out the time differences and making this one happen. And yeah, keep up the communication. We'll sort something out either way, and either have you racing here or me racing there or something. It'd be awesome.
Let's go. Let's do it
Yeah,
for sure. That'd be awesome.
that'd be fantastic, mate. And yeah, I'm not joking. Yeah, there's always a bed here for you. So
Hell yeah,
yeah.
let's go. Let's
let's
do it.
let
All right.
let's
Well,
tee it up. But keep up the good work on the pod. I like you as Corey's co-host. I
thank you.
think you do a good job, and you probably
Love
hear
giving
that
him
all the
shit.
time. Signing your autographs and all that sort of stuff.
No, no, it was definitely when yeah, real quick when Robbie stepped away and I came on, I'm definitely, I'm not Robbie Bobby. And so there was definitely a learning curve. But people have definitely grown to kind of enjoy the everyman aspect that I bring to the sport, right? I'm just the amateur, and often can give the fans perspective of some of the the quarrels and the storylines and how it how it's interpreted by like a fan.
Yeah.
People have kind of grown to enjoy that, and then obviously the absolute shit that I give Corey, people definitely get a kick out of that one. So he'll be texting me on the side, "Fuck you."
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good dynamic, and yeah, give him shit because he keeps whinging on about how little money they get for the risk, and that at least you get money. Yeah, we'll pay him out on another pod as well.
Yeah, nah, he's good. He's good stuff. He's good stuff for sure. But all right, man. Well, I'll catch you later. And thank you so much again for having me on the pod. And I hope everybody out there enjoyed hearing the stories for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome, mate. And yeah, as we said earlier, check out Evil Hours Racing. And do you have any other sponsors? Triumph gets behind you. Any other sponsors you wanted to sing out beforehand?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, Rocket Red, and Disport USA, a leathers company.
Oh, yeah.
R9 Designs, Law Tigers, which is a lawyer. And we talked about suing everybody, but I got an attorney behind it. Definitely. A number of companies like that definitely help out for sure. Light Shoe, they're a hot shoe. I don't know
Yeah.
who Australia uses for hot shoes, but if you guys make them in your barn, but I got light shoe, making a lot of them for sure that make it all happen.
Yeah, we do make them in our barns, we don't call them barns, we call them a shed, mate, fair dinkum shed. Uh, yeah, we've Scorpio is a speedway shoe that gets used quite a bit, and there's a couple other speedway ones that mainly get used.
Very
It was fun.
nice, very
It was fun.
nice.
It was funny actually. That's what I was doing this morning. I got some. Well, it was actually a Stelliolite, which I was hoping would be as good as Chrome. I can never say it. Chrome. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't. So I'm looking at getting some more of that, and I have found a
Hmm.
chromalloy supplier so people can resurface their shoes. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, my
but
sister actually is a welder, so I actually wore a hole through my hot shoe because my home track is a cushion, so like 70% of the races that I run all year are on a cushion. So when I
yeah.
when I went back to Illinois, I gave her my hot shoe. I was like, "Hey, resurface this," and she did. So it was awesome.
Did she say next time don't put a hole in it?
No, she was just kind of mesmerized by like how the hell it happened, and I was like, "Ah, it's flat track for you." She's like,
All
"All right,
right.
well, here you
Yeah.
go."
Okay.
Yep,
Oh, so it must have been her
awesome.
first. It must have been her first one because
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
nah.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're no
previous
good.
sponsor made my hot shoe, and it held up for about 3 years or so. But when I moved to Spokane and started racing cushion like all the time, it started definitely getting a beating because that's just what cushion tracks do.
Yeah, yeah, we get a couple meetings depending on the track. get a few meetings, and then you got to redo it. Otherwise, once you start getting
Yeah.
holes in that puppy, they're pretty hard to
Yep.
fix. Yeah. All right, dude. Have a good sleep. Say yo to the family, and yeah, all the best. Have a great Christmas.
Yeah. Cheers. Talk to you later.
All right, mate. Catch ya.
Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go, go.